I was gonna talk a little about the ceremony first, but I'll give it 2 more minutes in case there's more friends finishing up lunch. Yeah. Let me just go tell the people in lunchroom. I think it's coming. They should come. Yeah, because I don't want people coming in the middle.
Actually, I guess you can maybe sit closer. So you're in the rope handing distance.
Close to you.
Yes.
So we're not standing up. So why are we standing up too? Oh. Get that.
Because we're going to be talking about the Vows. Maybe we'll do a ceremony.
Oh, hi everybody. Welcome to the Upasaka ceremony. So, I wanna just talk about the ceremony for a few minutes before we get started. Are we rolling?
We are.
Okay. So no more cussing. That thing you just said to me, Lucas, it's a good thing they didn't cast that on video. You canceled for a thing like that. We weren't. That didn't happen. So the Upasaka ceremony is a quite ancient ceremony from Southeast Asia. The version we use, I've made some light edits to. It comes mostly from my teacher, Chula Dasa. And the idea of the Upasaka ceremony is you're becoming officially a Buddhist, and you're becoming an Upasaka, which is halfway between a layperson and a monk. So the verbiage that I put in here is that as an Upasaka, your commitment to the Dharma supersedes your other commitments in life. So in monasticism, it essentially replaces a lot of your other commitments in life. Whereas here the verb I like is supersede. If Brad, you come in. That if your work conflicts with the Dharma, for instance, as an Upasaka, you'd have to switch work. You couldn't make it change. The original ceremony, as I understand it, is quite a lot longer. In the original ceremony, everything is done in triplicate. The point of the triplicate is in Buddhism, except in some kind of unusual sects. In Buddhism, we don't want converts, we don't proselytize, and so if you want to become a Buddhist, we say no, and we want to make sure you keep coming back. So we'll do one thing in triplicate, and the rest of it will just be a single time. The ceremony, the reason I wanted to do it not in front of the whole group is as you'll see, it's quite hierarchical. We're up here, they're down there. They're going to be bowing to us. And the way that we see this is as a transmission of the Dharma, right? Like, we were once down there, and some older person did this for us, and maybe they'll do this for someone else one day. So it's not as though, like, it's symbolism that they're bowing to us. It's like the newer people bowing to the transmission of the Dharma, not to our corporeal forms.
I would just add on the general side of this ceremony, I would say more than like becoming a Buddhist, it's like this commitment of like following the teachings of the Buddha. When in my Upasaka ceremony, something that I didn't necessarily consider, that Chula also mentioned at that ceremony was like, yeah, and this is the, as a layperson, this is the closest you can become to being a monk. I was like, oh, really? And it's just really quite the significant commitment. I was like, really?
Any closer and you are celibate.
Yeah. It took some time for that to settle in for me, almost like a marriage, in this sort of like, we were joking about wearing white and this being marriage. The ceremony for me actually felt kind of significant in that way, and it surprised me. I didn't expect it to be that way. In a way, I think we're touching into kind of just a very vast and significant, thousands of years old human experience and tradition with these vows. And that kind of commitment that comes forward for that is like getting to participate in that experience, getting to learn from it, in a lot of the ways that are kind of neat, I think, about the lifestyle things of these vows, because on the surface level, it's like a decision's like, it's like the decision's made, you don't have to make it anymore. And so you just know the decision, and then you get to work with it in your life and practice. The final thing that I would say is what really surprised me about this ceremony is both that it felt really meaningful to partake in it, and it became influential in ways that I never would have imagined, much like long-term relationships in our lives become influential in ways we could never conceive of from the beginning. And so I think there's something that's just kind of like fun and unknown and just sort of almost magical about just kind of stepping on this path and journey.
I mean, you go by Upasaka Upali. That's become your name.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. We are told there are those in this assembly who wish to take the 10 lifetime precepts of a dedicated lay practitioner. Are there any such present?
Bhante, we request that you ordain us as Upasakas, as a commitment that our Dhamma practice will supersede all our other endeavors in life. Bhante, would you please be kind enough to be my preceptor?
Behave well.
Yes, Bhante. Bhante, will you please be kind enough to be my preceptor?
Behave well.
Yes, Bhante. Bhante, will you please be kind enough to be my preceptor?
Behave well.
Yes, Bhante. Bhante, I request that you take this robe in my hand and ordain me as Upasaka out of compassion, so I may make the commitment that my Dhamma practice will supersede all my other endeavors in life. Bhante, I request that you give me this robe in your hands and ordain me as an Upasaka.
This robe is to be worn for meditation, ceremonial occasions, and whenever the Buddha Dhamma is being taught. It is not to be worn in public places or to create a false belief that you are other than a lay practitioner. Do you agree?
Yes, Bhante.
Just over the left shoulder. Yeah. What is your name?
My name is Lucas.
What is your preceptor's name?
My preceptor's name is Upasaka Mahanama.
And who will instruct you in the Dhamma?
My teacher's name is Upasaka Mahanama.
Bhante, would you please be kind enough to be my preceptor?
Behave well.
Yes, Bante. Bante, would you please be kind enough to be my preceptor?
Behave well.
Yes, Bante. Bante, would you please be kind enough to be my preceptor?
Behave well.
Yes, Bante. Bante, I request that you take this robe in my hand and ordain me as an Upasaka out of compassion, so I may make the commitment that my Dharma practice will supersede all my other endeavors in life. Bante, I request that you give me the robe in your hands and ordain me as an Upasaka.
This robe is to be worn for meditation and ceremonial occasions, and whenever the Buddha Dhamma is being taught. It is not to be worn in public places or to create a false belief that you are other than a lay practitioner. Do you agree?
Yes, Bante.
What is your name?
My name is Alfie.
What is your preceptor's name?
My preceptor's name is Upasaka Mahanama.
And who will instruct you in the Dhamma?
My teacher's name is Upasaka Mahanama.
So we'll now take the refuges and precepts. The candidates are going to repeat after me, and if you know the refuges and precepts, or you can want to repeat it, you're welcome to join in. So the first one's interpreted. So I'll go first, and then anybody who wants to go second. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa.
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 Buddham saranam gacchami.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatyampi Buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatyampi Sangham saranam gacchami.
This completes the go into the three refuges.
Yes, Bante.
Yes, Bante.
Please repeat after me in the Pali scriptural language. Panyatipata viramani sekapadam samadhiyami.
Panatipata Vedamani Sikapadam Samadhiyami.
Adina dana viramani sekapadam samadhiyami.
Adinadana Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Kamesu michachara viramani sikapadam samadhyami.
Kamesu Michachara Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Musa vada viramani sikapadam samadhyami.
Musa Vada Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Sura Maria Maja Pamadetana Viramani Sikapadam samadhyami.
Sura Meraya Maja Pamadatana Veramani Sikapadam Samadhyami.
Please repeat after me in English. I undertake the precept to refrain from sources of livelihood that bring harm to other beings.
I undertake the precept to refrain from sources of livelihood that bring harm to other beings.
I undertake the precept to refrain from acting out of ill will or taking satisfaction in the misfortune of others.
I undertake the precept to refrain from acting out of ill will or taking satisfaction in the misfortune of others.
I undertake the precept to be open-hearted and generous in all my relationships with others.
I undertake the precept to be open-hearted and generous in all my relationships with others.
I undertake the precept to act with loving kindness and compassion in all my relationships with others.
I undertake the precept to act with loving kindness and compassion in all my relationships with others.
I undertake the precept to live with mindfulness and follow the Eightfold Path through daily study, meditation, and reflection.
I undertake the precept to live with mindfulness and follow the Eightfold Path through daily study, meditation, and reflection.
With these 10 precepts, virtue becomes the vehicle for a happy existence. Through virtue, good fortune is attained. Virtue is the vehicle for liberation. So let us purify our virtue. Upasaka, I'm going to give you a new name. Your new name is Ubaya. The Sangha will henceforth use the name Upasaka Ubaya for the dedicated lay practitioner. Upasaka Ubaya, be reminded of your commitment to the practice of the Buddha Dhamma and to the precepts you have taken every time you hear this name. Upasaka, I'm going to give you a new name. Your new name is Patujana. The Sangha will henceforth use the name Upasaka Patujana for this dedicated lay practitioner. Upasaka Patujana, be reminded of your commitment to the practice of the Buddha Dhamma and to the precepts you've taken every time you hear this name. We dedicate the merit accumulated here today to the benefit of all beings. By this deed, may all beings come to know the pure world free from suffering. Please repeat after me. May all beings be free from suffering.
May all beings be free from suffering.
May all beings be free from ill will.
May all beings be free from ill will.
May all beings be filled with loving kindness.
May all beings be filled with loving kindness.
May all beings be truly happy.
May all beings be truly happy.
Oh.
Thank you.
So, let me tell you about the names. So, I had this conversation with Lucas a few times where he's like, I just love practice, I love retreat, I wonder if I should be like almost a monk. And this isn't a thing you hear very often from somebody with a long-term partner, but Marta said it was okay to mention that Lucas and Marta are polyamorous. Lucas has multiple long-term partners and was like, maybe I should be a monk. And I thought, that's real aspirational to try to live an extra householder life and a monastic life. Ubaya is the Pali word for both. It's my wish for you. May you have both.
Thank you, Upasaka.
Some of you may recognize the word Patujana. It's not generally thought of as a positive term. So, for most of the time I've known Alfie, he's just been like obsessed with the concept of stream entry. When is he gonna get it? And eventually he knew I was sick of hearing about this. So he would joke about like, oh, I'm gonna get all the girls once I'm a stream entry. And I'm like, you're not joking. You just want to talk about this even more. So Patuchina is it's the opposite of an awakened being. It's somebody who is not a stream entry. And I thought, well, let me just give you this name, and then you don't have to worry about stream entry for the rest of your life. You will be Upasaka Patuchina. The other reason I wanted to use it is that I'm Jewish, and Patuchina is not, but really sounds like a Yiddish term of endearment. It sounds like something your grandma would call you. Her heart is filled with love, and Alfie is one of my best friends, so I wanted to give you that too.
Most grateful.
So usually the way we close is other people who've taken Upasaka vows. If there's get the floor if there's anything they want to say. I think there's not a lot in here. Jim and Upali. Is anybody else done it? Well, we've talked already. Do you want to say anything, Jim?
I want to give you two boys a hug. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's a good bear hug.
I was really glad you were tearing up. I was too, and I didn't want to be the only one.
I started crying before.
It's so sweet.
Yeah, I think I said a little bit about just the significance of the ceremony and my experience of it. Just thinking about the name. Like Tucker said, that I go by this name. I was just having a conversation with someone who's a teacher about like even like using my Upasaka name, that this is a public facing thing, and kind of putting that out there being a really significant commitment, because if you go by your Upasaka name, people know you by that, then it comes with the expectation that you're committed to those vows. So it kind of creates quite a bit of an accountability. I've also just appreciated that's been a huge growth for me in my practice, especially someone who's like really emphatic on being a pragmatic Dharma person and a secular Buddhist. To have this very traditional religious thing behind my name has been an interesting practice. And also my own name, Upali, what I love about it is part of the reason Tucker gave it to me is it's like, well, it kind of sounds like Paul. And I actually have some people I'm really close to call me Polly, which is like, you know, like a little hybrid of the two. And the more that I learn about my namesake, Upali, who was a disciple of the Buddha, like the more meaningful the name is for me. And one specific story I'll just share about that of like Upali went to the Buddha when he became a monastic and was like, I really want to go into the woods and I want to do these concentration practices so I can get, you know, really deep samadhi and deep insight. And the Buddha was like, well, you know, you can do that, but that would be a really hard way to go about it. And I'd rather that you hung out with us and stayed with the Sangha. Which really surprised me because that was exactly my path, was trying to go off into the woods and figuring this out on my own. And then Upali became the person who recited the Vinaya when the Buddha passed. I didn't connect with that part of Upali so much because that is the monastic code. And that was like my least, the most, if there were any suttas I could read, it would not be the Vinaya. If I'm going to study some source texts, I had no interest in learning how monastics are supposed to live their lives when I originally knew this about Upali. But the more that I thought about it and learned, the more I see the significance that Upali's path was a depth of practice that came through becoming like a master of community. that his awakening was very tied to meditation being a team sport on the side of Sangha and community and practice. And so this has absolutely been my path. The times that I am feeling best as a teacher is when I feel like a part of a community and even an organizer of community. And some of my biggest insights and breakthroughs in practice have come in these relational practice of getting to connect and talk with others and hear from others. Being supported from others is often what leads to all of the good stuff of a practice that I would hope for. So that's what I have to say.
I was just trying to figure out how long I've been in Upasaka for, and the answer is horrifying. Apparently 14 years? We've still got some hair. When people ask me what's it like to take the vows, I always say it's like a modern wedding. You know, you're like basically promising to do the things you've been doing anyways and we're planning to continue to do. But the decision to become an Upasaka felt like a big change to me. I was, kind of like a spiritual tourist for a while. And then I was like, no, like I know where I'm going. This is the place I want to settle. And I found it so helpful to pick a life philosophy and stick with it. Most of the secular people I know are not very good at that. And without some kind of life philosophy, every decision you just wrestle and wrestle and wrestle. And this has made it a lot easier to have what I've committed to as foundational principles that aren't going to get questioned again. So I hope this goes as well for you as it has for the other Upasakas in the room. And that bell was very coincidentally timed to signify the end of the ceremony.
I actually, if Upasakas are allowed to say something, you mentioned support and the people you've met, and I actually wanted to mention one more person who was kind of a teacher for me along the path, except you two, Upasaka Unapadana, which you guys more know probably as Robin. Robin can't be here in part also because he took the challenge to becoming a meditation teacher full-time, which is like a big endeavor in this world. And when I heard that the Upasakas can speak now, and I really felt really sad inside that Robin isn't here, so wanted just to acknowledge him and thank him because Robin's been awesome.
Did I say something?
I knew that was coming. No, I'm just, this is I just discovered the path completely by accident, and it's kind of just completely involved my life and has become such a huge part of it, and it's just kind of lovely. Could never have thought that it would come this far, and I still feel quite young, so it feels like maybe I've got more time with you and with everyone here. And I wish everyone a really pleasant and insightful and blissful retreat from what I expect.
Congratulations to the new Upasakas. Thanks for coming, everybody. And if you want to go chant, head on up to the hot tub.
Yeah.